Well, good morning and welcome to the Naples Money Managers News You Can Use. I am Dawn Litchfield Brown, and I have my trusty sidekick here with me, Bailey. She's leaning. She may lay down a little bit later, but I just thought she'd just bring a little color to the video this morning. It's been a while since I've talked with everybody. We've had a lot going on. Actually, so much going on. Difficult to even get it all out. So I'll do the best I can, make this as short as I possibly can. She's sinking away already. Social Security, will it be taxed next year? As you know, or you may not know, the big beautiful bill added an extra $6,000 in exemption amounts for people over age 65. So it will help maybe keep that Social Security from being taxed as much. But for most of us, I don't think it's going to make a whole lot of difference. That has never really been taken out of the bill entirely or added into the bill where there's no tax on Social Security. See, I told you she'd go down. So hopefully that maybe someday will happen. I know when I grew up, Social Security wasn't taxed, and now it is. Seems a little bit unfair to me. Some of these things are just funny to me. I got this in the mail. Looking for a good woman to marry. Can you believe this? I got this in the mail. I just and it says, please mail me. And it's got a guy's address and at engineer.com. Be wary of those things because you know they're probably not true. I talked to you before about this car insurance Endurance. Remember I told you I tried it to see what would happen. And they advertised like crazy. Just be very aware. You do have 30 days to cancel it, but you really don't know what you're getting. And all they're really insuring are really major items or maybe some little items that go with the major items, but they don't do things like brakes and normal things like that. So it's not a full warranty like you might get when you first get your car. But even then, some of those things aren't covered for normal wear and tear. Bailey, sit down. Okay. Couple of other things. AI. Oh my God, AI. Sit. Good girl. Good girl. What do we do about AI? So many things now that places we go have voice recognition. Do you want voice recognition? Well, I don't think with AI it's going to make any difference whether you have voice recognition or not. I mean, that's really so that I can't call up and pretend I'm Betty Smith and get something done. These days, it's still not as easy to do. One of the nice things about dealing with local banks, local firms, they know who you are. Have them recognize your voice and they know enough about you to recognize fraud. Very, very important to really solidify your relationships with people. What we're doing now is even if someone called and sounded like John Smith that we've dealt with forever, we would still say, okay, thanks, John Smith, we got your $50,000 request. Then we would turn around and call them on the number we know that he would call from, or we know, make sure that is a valid request. So AI is out there. It's doing all kinds of crazy fun things and also kind of crazy scary things as well because it's not just voice recognition. Remember, they're also doing image copies. I forget what they call it. But anyway, Matthew's back there and he knows. He could tell me if he wanted to. So I wanted to just, there's another thing. AI is now saying, I got a little article here that Stanford, Harvard, and Harvard proved AI can outpick your fund manager. Well, I bet they can in some ways. But this is my question that I ask you to ask anybody or anything that gives you investment advice. Ask them if they will be responsible for the advice they're giving you. Because people like us with fiduciary responsibility, and we go well beyond that, we have a responsibility for the advice we give. There are ramifications, repercussions if we do something inappropriate. So, and I don't mean just inappropriate like with the funds. I mean advice that's inappropriate. Keep that in mind. One of the other things I want to talk about, elections. Everybody may know if you vote by mail, you probably have to go on to the Collier County votes.gov. It's not Collier County, it's colliervotes.gov and re-register this year because the primaries are on August 18th and the generals are November 3rd. So I don't care where you stand on any of this. You need to get your voice out there because if you don't like what's happening, you're the only people that can change it, folks. We put them in office, you can take them out. So there you go. That's a little bit on the elections. And then finally, I always like to talk about the markets. I mean, one more thing before that. I was having breakfast with my 12-and-a-half-year-old grandson and his friend. And I had to tell you, I was sort of blown away at what they were looking at online and how they thought they could make money. It was amazing. This young man was very, very smart, and he was trying to figure out what he was going to buy, and he was looking at cologne, like men's cologne, this kind of stuff you put on, makes you smell good. Expensive, like $80. This kid's 12 and a half years old, comes from a less than modest background. And I said, isn't that a little expensive? He goes, well, you can get it for like 20. And I thought, wow, at a 12 and a half year old looking to buy cologne of all the odd things. But I guess it's very popular because of social media. And as we all know, social media can be very anonymous. One of the worst things about the world today is how people can say anything about anybody, do anything, and be anonymous. And that goes from country to country, person to person, friend to friend. It's anonymous. There are no repercussions for your actions. That's one of our biggest problems today. I think about that. Anyway, the second thing he was looking at was one of the gambling sites. And he said, see, this guy put in $2 and he made $200. And I was like, what do you mean? I said, don't you have to be 18? Or he says, well, you have to have a credit card. None of that bothered me. What bothered me is that was how he thought he could make money, was on a gambling site. And I said, well, maybe you should be thinking about, instead of buying cologne, saving money for a car or something down the road. You're only four years away from driving. He goes, well, I'm thinking about getting an electric bike now. And I thought, what's wrong with your regular bike? Anyway, something to pay attention to with your grandchildren. They might need a little grandparently advice every now and then. So I'm going to go to the markets now. You know where we were yesterday, almost back up to the old highs at 50,000 on the Dow Jones. This has been an interesting ride. First quarter was not good at all. Our reports were probably down 2 to down 5. Not fun. And now in 4 weeks' time, it's been a turnaround from not only not down 5, but up 2 to 4 to 5 in 4 weeks' time. That's amazing. So there's a lot of things to look at when things are happening like that. One of the things you might want to look at, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this out as quick as I can, but I hear all these life insurance commercials about selling your life insurance. Now, this does not apply, what I'm going to talk about, to term insurance. But if you have cash value in your life insurance and you really don't need it and you'd like to use it for something else, you can look at selling it. But all life insurance can be rolled tax-free into annuities. Just so you know, can't go the other way around. You can't go annuity to life insurance, but you can go life insurance to annuity. Something to think about before you make a move and sell your policy. And then finally, I'm looking at oil. Gas prices are up there. We're close to $5 a gallon. Depends what you're putting in your tank. But in 1988, it was $11.93 a gallon. This is Brent crude. I'm sorry, not gasoline. Brent crude. In 2008, it was $138.40. By March 2020, dropped down to $14.85 a barrel. And by 2022, it was back up to $125 a barrel. So I think right now we're at $98 a barrel. So I'm trying to give you some perspective and make the panic go away. If you can see what's going on in the markets in the world, you can see the panic is not there. There's an interesting amount of peace that's going on in people's financial minds. I won't speak about anything else, but in their financial minds. So with that, I'm gonna close. I'm gonna be heading to Vermont on Friday. I'm gonna go for about a week. When I do start going back and forth all summer, I'm gonna try and do a couple of these right up from my my ranch up there, or my stable, as we call it, and so I can still talk to you as often as I possibly can. So if you have any questions, call us. Remember to like and subscribe. Remember that QR code that you see? Well, all it is a map. If you put your phone on that, it's a map that takes you to our website. All QR codes are maps that take you somewhere. And if that helps you understand that a little bit better, and when you put your phone up there with a photo to take a picture of it, it'll take you right to that spot all by its little self. So with that, I'm going to say money matters, but most of all and most importantly, you matter. And I look forward to talking with you very soon. Have a great day.